Welcome to Buckets. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. This is your daily NBA bets episode for the association. Today covering Friday, February 6th in the association. We'll get you best bets, sides, totals, props, all sorts of stuff here on the slate in the aftermath of an NBA trade deadline that wasn't as wild as it could have been, but it was crazy in terms of volume. I looked at the number of trades today. I don't have an exact count. I'm doing an action card. No best bets for me tonight because I'm still in the midst of all the trade stuff. I'm trying to make adjustments to power ratings and going through all the deals. I spent 30 minutes today trying to figure out where Dale and Terry went. Just like Dale and Terry just got left behind like Kevin in Home Alone. I was like, where's Dale and Terry? Has anyone seen Dale and Terry? Can you please come to the front of the store if you are Dale and Terry's mom? Lots of stuff to get to. We're going to do best bets, all that. We're also going to talk about how to bet the NBA futures market in the aftermath of all these trades, what we think about it. To do that, I've got with me Brandon Kravitz at BK Picks in the Action Network app, at Brandon Kravitz on Twitter. He's a host of the Favorites podcast. Their Super Bowl preview is up in your inboxes right now. Go check those out in the podcast. Are you guys doing a post game after the bowl?
We are not. Stuckey said that he will be drinking heavily, and so that eliminated one person.
That doesn't sound like him. No, I got to talk to Stuck twice this week. I talked to him on the Favorites on Tuesday, and then I'm doing a special show for him tomorrow for Action Network podcast. You guys should go check that out. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Monday, though, we will have an episode on Monday morning.
You can also catch Brandon Kravitz pre and post game for the Orlando Magic. Joe Dellera at Joe Dellera, host of the Cash That podcast. I gotta come up with a nickname for you. I got ones for everybody else. Elevator Man, Escalator Man, Ladder Man, Ladder Man. Ladder Man's really best. That's the best sounding nickname is Ladder Man.
Yeah. I don't want to be a doorman, so
yeah, not a doorman. Ladder Man, Joe Dellera. Bryan Fonseca at Bryan Fonseca NY. You can catch him on the New York Post doing live streams covering the New York Knicks, including some watch-alongs for the Knicks if you're a Knicks fan, or if you hate the Knicks and want to watch them, because Bryan will just giggle at whenever they inevitably screw up. So you can catch that. Also, Bryan, the biggest Hornets, the man. Everybody's always got that team that comes through for them, right? Once a year, one of us hits something, the team hits. I was on Pistons last year after rejecting them for 4 years in a row. This year it was Hornets for Bryan, and Bryan hits with his undying support of the Charlotte Hornets, who won again tonight. Great work, Bryan.
They're with Concanipple, Brandon Miller, and LaMelo Ball. They're 20-11, which is a 53 win pace.
By the way, the 1-star parlay for me last night, Wizards Hornets got home.
I thought you had about a 0% chance to hit that.
I know. I gave that
was
incredible.
incredible.
You should go back and watch last night's episode and just watch our guys' reaction on camera to me giving out in a betting show a Wizards Hornets parlay.
I was like, we could probably just wrap this up. Let's just call it a night. And you went and hit the slingshot. That was fantastic. Yeah. And it was sweat free too on top of it.
Don't talk about the fact that I round robin it with the Nets. My 3-star is going to lose, by the way. The Lakers scored 21 points in the first quarter, and then Luka went out with a hamstring injury. So
great.
Can't hit the 3-star, but my 1-star parlay gets home.
And you logged it too, right, Matt?
I hate you, BK. So everything that we talk about tonight can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. You get up to second information where the bets and money are coming in on. If you sign up for Action Pro, you're going to get instant alerts on things. So Sean Kerner, obviously, he's got Super Bowl props up. They've already been nuked because that's what happens. Sean does NBA, and Sean's our director of analytics, and Sean is not human. He's just not a human being. He is some sort of godlike creature who puts out a bet, and then the market annihilates it. So you're going to want to turn on notifications. You're going to want to get signed up. Also, you get Brandon Anderson's futures, because guess what? Brandon Anderson tonight with NFL awards. Stafford preseason MVP 50-1. That's a cash. Defensive Rookie of the Year for Schlesinger 35-1. That's a cash. McMillan Offensive Rookie of the Year plus 1,300. That's a cash. And Tooney Protector of the Year 40-1. That's a cash. You get those if you sign up for Action Pro. So make sure to do that. Congrats to our guy Brandon Anderson for his good night. Okay. I want to start here. So NBA trade deadline's over. We're going to talk the Zoo trade because I think that's the biggest one that happened today. Honestly, that's the biggest move I think that happened today.
Yeah.
The bigger moves were like the Bucks not trading Giannis, the Grizzlies completely fucking their franchise and making me livid. I want to start here though. So a good example of this, I like talking about things that you can bet on here, right? Like we talk about betting, like people want picks. I do have to though. We do try and teach like good betting habits as much as possible. I not for me, but from like good people. And so one of the things that I want to talk about, here's an example of what I want to say. On Sunday, before the Cleveland Cavaliers traded Darius Garland for James Harden, their odds to win the title at Bet365 were 25-1. That was at Bet365 and DraftKings Caesars, 20-1 at FanDuel. 4 days later, after only they traded for Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder, and they traded for James Harden. They traded Darius Garland for James Harden. The Cleveland Cavaliers now are 12-1 at Bet365, 13-1 at BetMGM, 11-1 at DraftKings to win the NBA title. Their odds have sliced in half here based off of these series of moves. And it's a good reminder that no matter what you think about what teams did at the deadline, do not bet them now if they made a trade. You need to wait, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland has not necessarily shown us, even like they make this trade, great. You bring in notable playoff riser, James Harden. Awesome, right? Like, love it. I do, and we've talked about this. I like the fit. I think it's good for them. I think it'll help them in the immediate. But, like, we're going to put the Cavs, we're putting the Cavs ahead of the Knicks. We're putting the Cavs, again, ahead of the Rockets. We're putting the Cavs ahead of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're even with Boston and San Antonio. Like, I just don't understand how we got here when, especially with some of these guys like Harden, super high usage player. A lot of times you introduce these super high usage players and it's difficult. There's a learning curve here. Like I get, apparently Donovan Mitchell said he wanted James Harden. Like he went to ownership, said, go get James Harden. I want to play with James Harden. James Harden was not involved in that conversation. So this is a swing for everybody involved, right? And I do wonder, like, how does this fit? How does it go on court? Because now you have two ball-dominant guards. You take the ball out of Evan Mobley's hands a little bit more. You don't really know how this is going to fit. And there are just new wrinkles, right? So we'll see what happens. But I just think that the reaction to this move in particular, and really a lot of these moves that you're seeing at the top of the board, it's stunning because when you look at the rest of the picks, like the rest of the teams and the rest of the bets you can make, they didn't move. Like these teams didn't get better odds because the Cavs got cut in half. The books just have a hold. They just have a higher hold. So like you're betting into a tighter market then where there's even less of an edge because they only moved one side of it and didn't do anything else. You didn't get anything for the Cavs getting cut in half. They didn't redistribute that elsewhere. They just cut the Cavs odds in half because they knew people wanted to bet it.
So I told the guys that like the Knicks odds haven't moved. The Celtics odds haven't moved. Celtics Celtics fans are very mad because I basically am like, hey, no one should celebrate the owners saving money. Celtics did fine. Like I think Simons for Vooch is fine. I think it's fine. They need a center. He's perfectly reasonable. They've got KD if they want to go small. Like, it's fine. I don't think the Celtics odds should move at all. I think they are pretty much in the same spot. I think they could win the title before and the Eastern Conference. I have money on them. I'm not looking to sell at those positions now. They're fine. I just do not think that we should ever be like, oh man, they did it. They saved the billionaire owner $3 million. Woo! I just think this system sucks. The fans have to be like, yes, we got out of the tax. Maybe my owner will want to go back into the tax later because they saved money this year. That sucks. It sucks that the front office is like, okay, how are we going to save money while not sucking? Instead of being like, how do we get this team better now or in the future?
Like Joel Embiid ownership, and he made like public comments saying, can you make this team better? I think we have a chance this year. And instead they send Jared McCain, who was like a top rookie of the year contender last year until he got hurt, to the fucking Oklahoma City Thunder. Like if the Thugs call you and say, hey, we're kind of interested in this guy that you're really trying to sell low on, you should probably completely reevaluate whatever position you're about to do. Like it's insane. Like it's
Jared, the next call should have been, Jared, we want to congratulate you. The Oklahoma City called to inquire about your trade viability, so we're now giving you an extension.
Exactly. That's literally what they should have done.
Really.
Like trade them anybody else.
By the way, Fonseca, the two teams, I did want to note this, two teams in the Eastern Conference whose odds did get worse today. I'm sorry, BK, the Orlando Magic have actually dropped quite a bit. They went from around, looks like 5,700. There was a 7-1 at Caesars. They are between 8 and 11-1 in the market.
Speaking of saving money, by the way, they did that also.
Yeah. But the other one, Bryan Fonseca,
has to be Miami.
It's Miami.
Has to be Miami.
Goes from 80-1 to 100-1 or 200-1 in the market to win the NBA title. And obviously, the reason I'm listening to, if you're like, why are you talking about the title odds? The odds in the title market obviously are going to be impacted book by book based off of hold, like Joe talked about. But these are a good illustration. The derivatives will all, most of the time, will all also change, right? So division odds will be impacted, win total will be impacted, Eastern Conference Championship will be impacted, ECF MVP, like all of these odds will, not always, because it's like if it's just a hold adjustment, then you're not going to be like, you're not moving these other ones. But I do think it's kind of like an interesting like move there. Heat fans seem very stressed that they didn't do anything.
They're pissed, and some of them just have apathy at this point, which I think is the more appropriate emotion.
When I saw that,
yeah. No. Real quick,
I saw the report. I think Windy, there was a tweet that came out, and it was that Windhorst said the only team left in the Giannis sweepstake is the Miami Heat. And I was like, oh, this trade's done. Like this isn't happening.
Yeah,
like,
right.
See you in the offseason.
Me too. And 2 days ago, because Matt and I talk about like a lot of Heat stuff. 2 days ago, I had gotten the feeling like they're going to do nothing at the deadline. I think I texted Matt this. I was like, they're going to do nothing. Like, it just seems like they're going to be all in for Giannis and not really be nimble enough to have a backup plan. So they're not going to get Giannis because I don't think Giannis is getting traded. There was a point where I kind of like, I was like, 60%, maybe he gets there. But this whole thing was a pump fake. He tweeted out the Wolf of Wall Street meme, the "I'm not fucking leaving" from Leonardo DiCaprio, like afterwards, which I thought was just the corniest shit ever on Twitter. Saying like, oh, you like implying that he wants to bring people to Milwaukee and just stay there, which is just such an eye roll. Milwaukee, I think, by the way, is better off doing this in the summer because they're going to get better offers. Because teams are going to be more desperate. Like if the Knicks lose in the playoffs, if the Rockets lose in the playoffs, I'm surprised the Rockets didn't do anything, by the way. If like, we'll see what happens if the Warriors circle back, if Minnesota circles back, Miami will have more to trade. Like you're going to get better offers if you wait. I just think with Giannis, and Bill Simmons made an interesting point and was like, yo, like, what are you doing? You kind of could have forced the issue here and got into a better situation. And he compared it to Kevin Garnett, where he thought Kevin Garnett stood too long in Minnesota. He did. And the difference is Giannis has a title, so maybe there's not as much of a reason to force himself out. But like he kind of is throwing away another playoff. I do agree with it from that standpoint. But from the Eastern Conference, like just real quick on the Cavs, Matt, like I think they're a better regular season team. I don't feel better about them in the playoffs. I think Evan Mobley, who Free Sauce mentions, could benefit from this James Harden acquisition. James Harden plays, and James Harden's a really good playmaker. But I am a James Harden playoff atheist. I think this offense may just be, hey, Donovan Mitchell save us again, and maybe they lose in the second round. Not to mention that they're fourth in the East right now. Maybe they climb up a little bit, but you have to catch the Celtics or the Knicks at that point. And I don't know. I feel like this could be heading towards Donovan Mitchell potentially being elsewhere in the summer, despite the fact that he wanted Harden there, because if they flame out again and Donovan Mitchell has an extension question coming up this summer, why is he going to stay there? And also, when you're with Coco Jones, I don't know if you want to stay in Cleveland.
Cannot wait for the Miami Heat Donovan Mitchell rumors. But I will tell you this. Some Cavs fans that operate in the podcast space texted me, DM me, and were like, basically dooming themselves. They were just in full on doomerism spiral. They were like, they're going to get knocked out again because Harden can't do anything in the playoffs.
Yep.
And then Donovan Mitchell's going to ask out, and then he's going to wind up in Miami. This is hell. Like that's like where they are at. So
that's one that I think Miami can get, by the way. Like that's actually one that I think they can pull off.
I said to Matt too, I was like, I think you brought it up, Bryan, with the Knicks. Like I said to Matt off air and to like Jim as well. The Knicks, it almost seemed like it's not like they don't have a team that could win. And I think that part of it too is like if you are going to make a move for Giannis rather, you need Brunson to be on board with being able to move other assets. And if the Knicks, if they win the title, then like you just go, well, we're just not going to do anything. We won the title. If you don't win the title, you could probably get Brunson to be a little bit more on board with saying maybe the power of friendship isn't enough. And, you can make a move at that point. So I do think there are going to be better offers. And I 100% agree. I think that the offseason is the time that Giannis gets moved.
How they lose also matters if they lose, but also how they lose matters as well.
Yeah.
I will also shout out the Knicks for being, I think, the only team in the NBA with a Puerto Rican and a Dominican on the roster, which I appreciate.
It's worth noting that, like, if you look at this historically, correct me if I'm wrong. This is just off the top of my head. The last team that won a championship whose title was won off of a big move at the deadline, that was the catalyst that pushed them over the top.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of one.
I was trying to figure this out too. Matt,
that's not how championships are won. So why would we then? So if you think about it through that lens, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hit us up in the comments. Somebody yell at me. But why would you?
That's the only one.
Why would you? Which one?
Rasheed Wallace, 2004.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
That's going back a ways. So why in the world would you slice a number in half for James Harden, who's never won anything in the playoffs, going to Cleveland when no one in the world was saying, hey, they are James Harden away from winning a championship? It makes no sense. So if you bet the Cavs before the move, good for you. If you're betting into that after the line has shifted and it has been cut by 50%, that is foolish behavior, and you shouldn't do it. Last year, a more impactful player was traded around the deadline, and everybody rushed to go bet it. The line moved like crazy. Remember him? His name is Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
You know what that did? Nothing. Because if you can't defend, you can't win. And this Cavs team, does anybody want to make the case? Fiddle tried to last night that the Cavs are better defensively with James Harden as a key cog in the backcourt.
I think I agree with that comparatively to Garland, just because Garland and Mitchell are both smaller guards. Garland is particularly like dainty guard. James Harden's got a little bit of beef on him. Like he's pretty good in the post. You can't just back down. I think there's something to be said about that. Whereas like you get like a little bit more size. I'm not saying they're going to be like better defensively generally, but I think that it at least solves a little bit of a problem that Cleveland definitely had.
So regardless of those questions, because we had a lot of time to figure out the Cavs and Harden when you see them with them, a lot of that, my answer to that question is it depends on who they play, because if it's a team that's dumb enough to attack him and switch, he's good there. If you're like, we're going to go at James Harden, as long as the mission is James, don't get embarrassed, James is like, cool. But if it's ever like, hey, James, you're going to have to pay attention to more than one thing at a time and give actual mental effort in tracking this play, James is like, that sounds like a lot of work. Like, I don't really get paid for that. So
I have to worry about that cut.
Right. By the way, we're starting to cover more of these prediction markets. And so like, I've dabbled. I had a position on Domantas Sabonis to get traded that did not get home because I mistakenly was like, surely the Kings are not this dumb. I know better than that. Like, I know better than that, than to suggest that the Kings are not any level of dumb. But one thing to keep in mind is because you have cash out options, I should have jumped on this immediately last night when they traded for Trace Jackson Davis. I should have just been like, cut my losses and go. And instead I was like, well, maybe they go ahead and do it. No, I should have been like, that was their pivot. They knew they weren't getting Sabonis. They moved to Trace Jackson Davis. I'm out. So I should have I should have done that in the prediction market to be like, okay, the minute that a team pivots, get in there, because it's like bidding injury news, right? You can get out of that market and save yourself a little bit of pain. I did okay because I had no on Morant because I didn't think there was a market for him, no on Levine. I knew there wasn't a market for him, and no on a few others that I was just like, there's guys are not getting dealt. Like they're just not going to get traded because it's too hard to move that money. Which leads us to, by the way, we talked about the prediction market. I wanted to talk about this. The Indiana Pacers on Thursday traded Benedict Mathurin and a finally protected first-round pick to the Los Angeles Clippers in exchange for center Ivica Zubac. Now, next year, I'm probably going to have to play contrarian and be like, I'm expecting the market to be nuts on the Pacers. Halliburton back with a full year of rest off the Achilles. They get a center. They've gotten development. All of these types of things. We'll see what they do in the offseason. Like,
draft.
I feel like the market is going to be really high on the Pacers. I'm going to have to be like, Halliburton's coming off an Achilles. It's probably going to take him a little bit. But overall, like adding Zoo, great move. Getting him for Mathurin, great move. The pick is the interesting part here, and that's where we should talk about the betting opportunity. The pick is protected 1-4 and 10-30. There is a 5-pick range where the Los Angeles Clippers get their first round pick. If it falls between 5 and 9. This is an old Daryl Morey trick that he used to do when he was running the Rockets, was set up extremely complicated pick protections on various things in order to, it's basically, you're kind of allowing the other team to gamble, which I don't know if you know this, but we like that here. It allowed the Clippers to be like, hey, if we can't tank hard enough or win enough, you get our first round pick. Or if we get screwed by the lottery, you get our first round pick this year. If not, it converts into a 2031, and we have time to kind of, basically what that means is the Pacers have, like, they have 5 years to plan to be like, we need to be decent in 2031. This was my entire argument why the Warriors picks sucked ass, is I was like, if you give a team that much heads up to be like, you need a plan to not be terrible this season so you don't embarrassingly give up the number 1 pick, then teams can be like, all right, let's go get some veterans. Like, let's go get DeMar DeRozan level players, and we will just, not the Kings, but like normal teams, and then we'll be 500 and not give up a horrible pick. So what's interesting here is the question of the Indiana Pacers currently. I got to look up on, I had everything except the actual tank board up. Okay. The Indiana Pacers are 13-38. They sit third in the standings via tankathon. So if they got jumped, the top 3 are protected to not go past what?
8, right? Or is it 7, 8?
So
I think if you're top 4, you can't go past 8. And that was the thing about the Wizards. Like the Wizards are trying to be top 4, so their pick has no chance to go to the Knicks.
Yeah, they are also, by the way, thanks to their win tonight, they are now 5th in the
yeah. That was a great win for the Knicks.
It was a great win for me as we creep ever closer to the Wizards hitting 21 wins, getting a great draft pick, and I hit all of my Wizards futures. We're just to sneak on in there, Wiz. So there was a comment tonight from a Pacers adjacent person who said that the Pacers basically think that this is an absolutely ridiculously loaded elite draft, which it probably is.
It's a good draft. Yeah.
And that you need to be able, like, you can get into this. Like, you've got to be able, like, they're planning on tanking their faces off.
Yep.
Yeah.
The win total is up. It's a bet 365. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, it's 21.5. Under is plus 105.
Okay. So in the prediction market, you can take 20 plus wins at currently trading at 27 cents, which for those of you that are not inclined to such things to do the math is plus 270.
Yeah. So it's basically under 19.5.
If this were a Sunday episode, Joe, we would be giving out that as our future of the week.
Yeah, I think it's solid. And especially too, I think when you really look at this too, like there's 4 teams, there's really like 6 teams that are in striking range of these top 4 picks, which is relevant because like you really want to have a great chance at being within the top 4. Because of I think this draft, I think from my understanding, it's a loaded draft, but there's definitely like a teardrop after like 3 and then another one after like I think 5 or 6. So you really want to be in the top of the draft. And what's interesting is that like New Orleans doesn't really care about tanking in the same way as these other teams because their picks going to Atlanta. So I think that, Sacramento, Indiana, Brooklyn, Washington, and Utah also to a degree, like those teams are going to be in a fight to get to the bottom, to get the best odds, to get the number 1 pick. At a certain point, it won't totally matter, but at the same time, it does because your last pick, like the end tail of where your pick can go matters if you're 1, 2, 3, or 4. Whereas your odds, I think, to get the number 1 pick don't change for the top 4. Is that right, Matt? Like if you're the 4 worst teams, you all have the same odds to get the number 1.
Yes.
Yeah. So like you want to be in that grouping, but you also, the problem is here, normally a lot of these teams would say, we don't really care as long as we can get in the top 4. But I think your tail end is worse if you're not in the top 4. Like if you're not the number 1 worst.
So number one overall is 14% across the top 3 teams. It drops to 12.5% for the 4th.
Yeah.
You are to be top 4. You have a 52% chance in the top 3. And a 48% chance in the 4th spot.
Yeah. So there is a pretty significant drop in those spots. So you're going to have a lot of teams fighting for this.
What's up, BK?
To throw a quick bucket of water on this.
Okay.
I do think that there's a lane to wait because it's not like these markets are going to close. If you look at the next 6 games for the Pacers, about 4 of them, they're taking on teams that are trying to tank as hard as they are. I mean, if you look at even the slate that we're about to break down, the Pacers are favored against the Milwaukee Bucks. They have the Brooklyn Nets coming up at Brooklyn. They have the Washington Wizards pair against those 2 and the Dallas Mavericks. And I mean, Dallas, halfway decent with Flag and all of that. But all these teams are not interested in winning. And this might not be the optimal moment. If they win a couple of these games, you could probably you will get a much better number. So I like where the head is at as far as that goes. But if you look at the upcoming schedule, they have some potential wins coming up. And then you could kind of be sweating this down the stretch.
So we got some questions from this in the chat, which is what I want to hit before we do best bets.
Mm-hmm.
Because that leads us to this question. You're right. They've got some wins coming up, but we are about to see some of the grossest, most disgusting tank offs imaginable.
But someone has to win.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Kravitz.
Stuff. Go ahead, Bryan.
This is going to sound like a joke, but I'm actually like 50% serious. One of these teams needs to sign Cam Thomas, who was waived today by the Brooklyn Nets, which is surprising to me. But then again, I knew he was going to take the qualifying offer because they weren't going to offer him anything. Sign Cam Thomas and give him a 35% usage rate, and you'll get Darren Peterson or AJ DeBansa or Cameron Boozer.
This is mean. This is mean.
Let's just let him take every shot possible.
I think
Brian's trying to get tweeted at like Zach Lowe today.
No, I'm not even saying it like that. I think Cam Thomas is a good player, but I think what's gonna happen is like you're just gonna whoever signs him is gonna be like, yo, it's gonna be one of these teams, and they're gonna be like, just cook, whatever.
Yeah, I get it. I do think Cam Thomas was like, I think it was a little unfair. I just think it was a little unfair.
They never really gave him a chance.
Waiving him is kind of fucked up.
I did like this from Free Sauce, who says Cam Thomas is a better Jordan Clarkson than Jordan Clarkson. I thought that was amusing.
There were Knicks fans, by the way, in our show earlier who were like, "Oh, should the Knicks sign Cam Thomas?" And it was like, they're not going to do that.
No.
So I got this note from a scout tonight who was covering the Utah game. Nurkic is a healthy scratch. Dressed didn't play. Keontae went through a full workout, inactive. They haven't played Laurie since the 6-minute mark in the third quarter. They were beating Atlanta so they put in Oscar Tshiebwe with 6 minutes left. They were still winning and took out Svi, who was playing great with 3 minutes left.
It's hilarious too because they're still playing Collier fucking 48 minutes a game.
And then he gets stuck on 11 assists. We gave out 12 last night.
Yeah,
I was so pissed.
In my fantasy league, I have Andrew Nemhard in the trading block right now. I'm trying to get rid of him.
+7, man, great. -750. Bryan Fonseca mentions his fantasy team. What a win! Just cashing bets already. So
lost last week because people got hurt. Now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's hurt for 2 weeks.
If you want an actual, by the way, we're gonna talk about that SGA injury on buckets this weekend. On the future Jays with Joe Dellera and Jim Turvey on Sunday. The Pacers, I have them projected. I haven't done the adjustment for Zoo coming in for Mathurin. I have them projected currently at 24.6 wins, and I was a little bit higher on them than what they were actually their actual trajectory was. So my thing here is like, can they lose 5 more games than they were going to? And the answer, in my opinion, is like absolutely yes. So I still like that under 20 play. I think that under 20, especially 21.5 at Bet365, if you just want the straight -110, that's a good number.
It's going to be like the least surprising thing when both Siakam and Zoo somehow need like an elective surgery at this point. Like they're gonna get like plastic surgery and be out for the rest of the season. Like that's what Indiana is about to do in order to keep this top pick.
Ivica Zubac out, nose job. Could be. By the way, shout out to Zoo, by the way, who had a kid. And everybody was like, "Ooh, he's out because of the personal, because he's getting traded." And it was he had a kid and he got traded.
Another plausible reason to sit him for a couple months.
He's about to take FMLA paternity leave.
Just put him on leave.
NBA paternity leave.
Which team is Moses Brown going to sign for on his 10-day contract, on his annual 10-day contract?
He signed to the Nuggets G League.
Really?
He's with the Grand Rapids Gold.
I was going to say he's with Grand Rapids, yeah.
But I'm not expecting him to be their 15th choice.
He'll sign. He's taken the title from Earl Barron.
By the way, if you want to see me in full snark mode, you should go watch Locked On Nuggets today, where I literally, the thumbnail is huge trade, and it's a bag of cash in the thumbnail, and then I put up actual banners like a birthday party across the top that said "Duck the tax." It was a great day. If you're, by the way, unrelated, Stan Kroenke became the richest landowner in the United States in the last month.
But where's the money to re-sign Peyton Watson, Matt?
It's great. By the way, they don't have a practice facility for the Avalanche or the Nuggets. The Avs practice is a public facility. You could just wander in and watch the Avalanche practice if you want.
Hey, you can't become the richest man in America if you're paying tax, okay?
I don't know if I like that idea in an open carry state.
BK, are you a little surprised that the Magic didn't move Batase or anybody that didn't do anything?
I don't think I've ever been less surprised about anything in my 40 years on this earth. They're just not they're not an aggressive bunch at the deadline. They've never been. The only time they've ever done anything of real note is when they decided that the Vooch, Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon era was over. That was a lot on one day. Outside of that, they just haven't done much. So no, I was disappointed because it's so obvious what they need. There's so many shooters out there in the league to go get. Ayo Dosunmu was available. That would have been a great addition.
Seconds. What a steal. Like, we don't have time.
I love that trade.
You talk about not reacting to a trade. I had to like duct tape my hand to my chair to not bet the Wolves after they got Ayo Dosunmu. Basically replacing Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Really good. Okay.
Yeah, they needed someone like that, but this is how they operate. They believe in their core, and we'll see what it looks like when Franz gets back.
Okay. Let's do best bets for the Friday slate. Let us begin with Brandon Kravitz. What's your 3-star play of the night?
Let's go with the Miami Heat plus 7.5 against the Boston Celtics. I think we are getting a bloated number on Boston here. They got a big road win on Wednesday against the Rockets. It was a blowout. They've won 4 in a row, all things that lead to bloated ratings and bloated lines. This number should probably be about a point and a half less than where it's at right now. Boston's also third game in 4 nights. They're in that situation. Don't love that for them. It's a revenge spot for Miami, too. If you like to play those angles, Boston beat them by 5 in mid-January. I know Tyler Hero is still out. Bryan will tell you they've been better without him. 4-7 with Tyler Hero in the lineup straight up. And the cherry on top, Boston as a home favorite, 47% against the spread. Miami as a road dog, covering at a rate of 55%. We're seeing some 7.5s get gobbled up. I would get it now while it's hot.
Okay. Boston is 12-12 at home this season, ATS plus 0.8 an ATS differential. So they don't necessarily have a great home court advantage relative to league average. I'm trying to figure out what to do with this one because I'm actually preseason priors. I'm on Heat. In season numbers, I'm on Celtics because the Celtics continue to put up like their win profile. Their profile is just very good statistically. I can see where you're getting at on this one. Celtics on a 3-4, but they've historically been really good in low rest advantage spots. So I think I'm probably going to wind up on Boston here and be Oppo, but I do not mind you taking Miami. Miami with 2 days rest. I have to look at what Spo is when he's got extra rest advantage. That's an interesting question to look up. I'll look up that after a while. Joe Dellera is giving his 3-star play of the night.
Yeah, so I kind of agree to an extent with Brandon here, and I'm going to be on Bam Adebayo over 18.5 points. I think that he had that like weird little lull, like a month ago or so, or maybe like a month and a half ago, where he just like could not score at all. And I think Bryan had talked about how it seemed like he was dealing with an injury. I think he seems to be fresh lately. Over his last 15 games, he's averaging 20.5 points. I think this is a good spot again against Boston, who. Although they added Vooch as a center, that doesn't necessarily make them better defensively at the center position. And this is a spot that he's had a lot of success against. So just against, he just played the Bulls. He just played Vooch, put up 20 in all those games. And then, even when he played Boston earlier in January, put up 22 points. And historically against Boston, he's performed really well, averaging basically over 20 points a game, hitting this line in 11 of his last 14 games against Boston. So he's had a lot of success there. I think that this is just overall a pretty good spot for him, given what Boston has kind of done. And Vooch, who's already not a great defender, if you're starting to integrate him and like trying to get him up to speed on some of these defensive schemes, you're probably going to be doing a little bit more simplistic defense. I think that this is going to be a good opportunity for Bam to go over this 18.5 points prop and, help them keep this close against the Boston Celtics. So
I'm glad.
I'm going to grab it.
I got very excited that you're with me on this. I meant to add the Vooch thing to the cap because I think that's an important note. I think in general, a smart thing to do after the deadline is to fade teams that made significant moves in the immediate future because they have to work those kinks out. And Vooch is, he's a guy that's going to take up space. He's a guy that you're going to get the ball in his hands. He's not the world's best defender. So there are things about Vooch's game. It's going to take time for him to fit with this Boston Celtics team. And time could be 3 games, but it's definitely going to take a minute. And fading him in that first game for Boston, I think, is a smart move.
Maz on a 3-4 is 54% against the spread overall this season. Just 3-4 though, so hasn't been as good this season on the 3-4 spot. And so that's Maz, who I think is a really good coach. I like your note about kind of fading these teams, because I can tell you if we want to get into the X's and O side of this, it's really one, you have to learn where you're going to be, where you're supposed to set.
Yeah.
They all run the same stuff, so they know the plays, but they have to learn the new terminology because every team uses different terminology for their sets and coverages. And so they're going to have to learn that. And you have to learn, especially, I'll say this for bigs, I think it's tough. Screen angles are this is like the nittiest this is the most Matt Moore fucking talking point imaginable. But for even especially with the Celtics don't run that much pick and roll. But like when Jaylen Brown brings the ball up and he wants a screen, whether or not the angle that he sets a screen at is going to determine what angle he comes off that screen at. And if Vooch is still trying to remember which one he likes versus which Derek or which set, it causes less separation on screens. Vooch is a great screener, but it causes less separation. So all those things I think kind of play into the factor here. Bam Adebayo, I want Brian's thoughts on this before he gives his 3-star because he's obviously our Heat sympathizer.
He's my 2-star place, so I can give some thoughts in a little bit.
Glad we're all in agreement. What could go wrong?
Southwest Division or Southeast Division specialist.
Yeah. Speaking of, I have multiple correlated plays. We'll get one of them out of the way as my 3-star, which is John Collins over 22.5 points and rebounds. I don't know how much Brook Lopez is going to play the rest of the season. Like, I just don't really know what to expect. Like, I saw a lot of people picking him up in fantasy, and I was like, do you think this is going to be like Nets Brook Lopez again? I don't know. I don't know if there's a buyout situation. I don't know if they're just going to like barely play him. I don't know. And then Kawhi Leonard, I also don't know what his minutes are going to look like moving forward. John Collins has, I would say, a better than decent matchup here tomorrow. And John Collins also without Ivica Zubac, 19-7 last game, and now they're entering a time where you don't really know who's going to get the production, but they're playing the Sacramento Kings, so I'm fine with this. John Collins should have opportunities here because who the hell else is going to, if we're being honest.
Fair. That's a fair point. Yeah, I have no idea who's going to be in the rotation tomorrow night for the Los Angeles. Jordan Miller. I like him. Let's take some Jordan Miller.
I like Chris Dunn, but
I like Chris Dunn. Hasn't had a great year. By the way, the answer to what I was looking at, it took me a minute. Spo, here's a fun one. Spo with rest advantage is slightly under 500. This season, he is 2-5 ATS when he has rest advantage. So going against the trend, but it's just 2-5. You get the win, and it's 3-5, and that looks better. So
he's due.
He's due. Sure, that's how that works. Okay. We get on our 3 stars. Let's go back to Kravitz for your 2-star.
Well, let's go back to that lovely Kings-Clippers game because that's where we need to be spending our time. Domantas Sabonis over 26.5 points plus rebounds. I'm trying to bet this currently, and it's saying location not verified, so we'll have to wait for that to populate. He's fairly predictable in terms of his output night to night. The numbers just aren't there when he's squared up against Embiid, Cat, Jalen Duren. Well, now I'm praying we get Brook Lopez, by the way, because this is part of the gap for me, because he can't leave the ground. So that's going to be a problem against a big as gifted as Sabonis is. He's hit the over on this 8 of his last 15. That's nothing to go wild over, but he has hit the over on 26.5 points plus rebounds the last 3 times he's played against the Clippers. So he sees this team, he sees food, clearly favors this matchup, and we're going to go after it tonight. Now, he is questionable, so there's a chance that this gets voided, but I'm going to bet it now while it's at a nice, neat -110.
Okay. All right. What do we think this is a general question. What do we think the Celtics or the Clippers direction is for the rest of the year? Do they want to win?
I think
they're just waiting out the next Pablo Torre update, honestly.
Like, do you want
because they don't have control of their pick? Because that's OKC's.
Yeah, so it's like there's no reason for them to lose. So I guess they'll compete. But I'm just
just try. Like,
yeah, I guess.
Did they try when they were good?
Yeah, I was a little surprised they didn't trade Kawhi at the buzzer. I would have been like, if you knew you were going to trade Harden, and they knew they were trading Harden for way longer than it was really funny. Like, he gets traded, and then there's like all these comments. The Clippers are shocked at his request. Clippers stunned. Players can't believe it. And then like you get more reporting, and Mark Spears is like, yeah, they were talking about this for like weeks.
Yeah,
and you can be like, well, no one else knew. Lie. Everyone knew.
You don't think there's a world where they put Kawhi on ice and try to trade him in June? Like they just sit him for the last 4 weeks.
But here's the problem: is just like you have to wait until the investigation because you can't trade him I think the reason he didn't get traded is the team would have been like, I don't know if he's going to get suspended or not.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think he's getting suspended because Adam Silver standing up to the players union,
right?
Doesn't sound like, unless it's a CBA where he was an absolute pit bull last time out, 2011. Doesn't sound like what's going to happen. I can't imagine being like, you're in trouble because you took more money that was illegally offered to you. The players union would be like, you want to pay us? Cashier's check will be good.
Yeah. So are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't even know if it was improper. I think it was against the rules, but I don't know how illegal it was.
I meant illegal in terms of like the
CBA.
I defer to Joe's expertise.
Yeah,
in
the CBA.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. But that's what I mean though, in terms of like a suspension, it makes it harder because it's like it's not criminal what he did.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
well, I will say though technically it is, the player is in violation of the CBA. Like the CBA does state that the player can't enter into these kind of agreements.
Yes.
But anyway, we'll see what happens. I am just very interested in what the Clippers are going to do. All right. So that's BK's 2-star. What's your 1-star tonight, BK?
1-star for me, T-Wolves, Pelicans over 236.5. The Timberwolves have been on fire offensively. On the year, they're top 5 offense. Over the last 5 games, they are the #1 scoring offense in the NBA, 125 plus per, and I don't think the Pelicans can stop them. We're talking about a bottom 5 defense here. The last 5 times these two teams have met, the overs hit every single time. This is just a major over matchup. Over teams, over spot. Give me the over at 236.5. I think it only climbs from here.
I am surprisingly on under here. I've actually got this projected down at 228. It's just projection though. I haven't done the deep work on the dive, so might be fine. All right, Joe Dellera, what are your 2 and your 1 stars?
I'm looking at Naz Reid over 14.5 points. Julius Randle's questionable, so if he doesn't play, that's always a nice little boost for Naz. But I just think this is a particularly good matchup for him against the Pelicans, who are just generally weak against bigs too. And Naz has been playing pretty well of late. In his last 15 games, he's hit this in 10 of 15, averaging 15.4 points per game. One of the misses is he only played 5 minutes against the Spurs, so that kind of pulls it down as well. Coming off a bunch of strong performances lately, I think that this is a good matchup. The Pelicans also give up a ton of threes above the break and in the corner, both areas that Naz kind of chucks up from too. So I think it's a really good matchup for him. And I think the 14.5 is a little bit light, especially considering that Randle might just sit this one out too. And then for my 1-star, I'm also in this disgusting Clippers-Kings game, and I'm grabbing John Collins over 15.5 points. I think the 15.5, I think it might be 16.5 now, but either way, 15.5, 16.5, I think it's just a little bit light. He played the Kings earlier this season without Zoo, scored 16 points in 22 minutes in a 41-point win. So I would imagine he plays a couple more minutes in this one. Just scored 19 points in 27 minutes against the Cavs in a 33-point loss. So I don't really think that there's going to be an issue in terms of his minutes in this game, especially now that they don't have Zoo. He's been a pretty consistent scorer, especially because they don't have Harden either. So he's somebody that can at least score for himself, kind of create a little bit for himself. I just think that the opportunity and the usage that's going to be available to him is significant enough that you want to kind of back that. And if you even looked at last season, obviously different team, different situation, but when he didn't have like Laurie and Keontae, like in Clarkson all playing, he was putting up some bigger numbers for Utah as well. So I like Clarkson or rather Collins over 15.5, 16.5 points. If that's what you can get.
You guys are in alignment. We should have talked this out more. We really should have been like, I should have looked at your plays in our doc and been like, oh God, you're all on the same 3 guys and 3 teams.
The board is kind of thin, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't care. This terrifies me. This terrifies me deeply.
We are heavily invested in the Kings Clippers game. That is the trouble.
It's a little gross. Yeah, it's a little
Here's
gross.
what's fun. At DK, the only assist props up for the Clippers are Kawhi Leonard over 4.5 and Chris Dunn over 4.5. Because that's my immediate thing. If you guys like Collins on points, his points are all assisted. It's drive, kick, shoot.
We'll see tomorrow.
Triple threat, John Collins, ISO time. Actually, I'm down for this because I love John Collins.
I think he's underrated. Yeah. I think
okay.
Underrated.
Joe's 2 and 1 star. Brian, wrap us up with your 2 and your 1 star.
Well, Joe had Bam over 18.5, so I'm hoping that a couple of those come from 3-point range because I have over 1.5 threes for Bam Adebayo against the Celtics. The problem that Bam has and why people make fun of his true shooting percentage for a big is because nobody on this fucking team makes him better. Like, there's not a single player on the Heat. Like, Tyler tries, but Tyler doesn't play. Duncan Robinson kind of did. Kyle Lowry kind of did. They're no longer there. Nobody on this team helps him. What will help him, though, is gravity, and the Heat are playing basically everyone except for Tyler Hero because parenthetically Ribs and Terry Rozier because parenthetically Feds are both out. That's it. Everyone else is playing. So against Nikola Vucevic, by the way, who will be in this game.
Did you just say that Terry Rozier is out with Feds?
I've been writing this on the action of the previews like all season just to see if anyone says anything.
DNP Feds. Okay.
I mean, it's not wrong.
I've used DMP Feds and FBI. I've been doing this all season long.
Yet he's still getting his paycheck, by the way.
Me and Terry Rozier. Bam is over 1.5 threes in 4 or 5 against Vooch. It obviously awards him more opportunities to space. And the Celtics allowed the 3rd most threes per 100 possessions this season at over 40, one of only a few teams in the NBA to average over 40 threes per 100 possessions. So I think he'll get his opportunities. He didn't the last couple of games, but Norman Powell's back. Andrew Wiggins is back. They were trying to maybe potentially package him for something, so they scratched him last game. But now Andrew Wiggins is there, and it looks like he's going to see that contract through in Miami because that's what everyone does now. Nobody gets traded. Bam, by the way, also 3 3-point attempts last game and the game before. I think this is the spot where he should get the attempts back up. And in his last 13, he has made 2 or more in trend as well. 1 star, just Anthony Edwards over 29.5 against the Pels for the reasons that Joe mentioned earlier about their defense, and also Anthony Edwards is Anthony Edwards. He's over this in 6 of 9. This is more of a lean for me. Just because he had a 44 ball against the Pelicans earlier this year and then had an 11 2 days later. So like you just don't know. But this does feel like one of those games where Anthony Edwards can get his and create. And we'll see what happens with the injury report because, as Joe mentioned, we'll see what happens with Julius Randle. So that's another piece of this.
Okay. So to recap, we can throw out the board, producer David. Brandon Kravitz, Miami Heat plus 7.5, Domantas Sabonis over 26.5 PR, and the Minnesota New Orleans over 236.5. Joe Dellera likes Bam Adebayo over 18.5 points. Brian Fonseca likes Bam Adebayo over 1.5 threes. Joe likes Naz Reid over 14.5 points. John Collins over 15.5 points. That's Brian's 3-star for his PR, which is over 22.5 PR. So Collins over is very popular tonight. Anthony Edwards over 29.5 points for Brian Fonseca. It's going to do it for Buckets. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys have yourselves a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Sunday night for the Future Jays. We'll look at where the market has moved on the awards with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's injury, as well as where some of these other division and other markets. I'll have a full breakdown of that with a couple more days to digest everything in the association. Follow Brandon Kravitz at Brandon Kravitz on Twitter, at BK Picks in the Action Network app, and listen to the Favorites podcast. Catch Joe Dellera on the Cash That podcast at Joe Dellera. Our producer says that he's been trying to bug you to change it to Joe DeLatter, which I do think that that's probably like, we got to do something about this, Dellera. Your name is too boring. Brian Fonseca MY from the New York Post. You can catch him on his YouTube page as well at Brian Fonseca. I'm at HP Basketball. The NBA trade deadline is over. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets. I'm so tired.